And we're live. Hi everyone, thank you for coming to another Vilnius Founders meetup. Today we're going to talk about very important topics about dual use and defense technology. We have an amazing lineup of speakers. You're in for a treat. Again, if some of you want to pass through, hang your coats, sit down upstairs, feel free to do it. And without further ado, let's start. So guys, maybe I'll briefly introduce you and maybe we can start from a very short description of what you guys are building and how it all started. How did you got in dual use or defense tech, right? Very simple, like, hi, my name is Ernestas, I'm founder of Vilnius Founders meetup. So we have Elvinas from Robotics, Ernestas from BROSWARM, and we have Andrius from BSV Ventures.
Alright, so let's start. Good evening everyone, my name is Elvinas Kukys, I'm the founder of Robotics. We're doing night vision cameras for unmanned systems, so FPVs, and we're moving into UGVs as well. And how did we start it? We started with the Riflemen's Union's hackathon.
Closer to the microphone.
We started with the Riflemen's Union's hackathon. That's where we got drafted by Scalewolf.
Yeah, can you just repeat what you guys are building?
So we're building night vision cameras for FPV kamikaze drones and slowly moving into UGV drones as well. UGV cameras for UGVs.
Thank you for coming.
Hi everyone, I'm Ernestas. I'm from BROSWARM. We are developing a new generation radar for UAVs to detect landmines. How we started it? I started it in outside somewhere in the woods in my camping tent, and I called VC. I got first call to VC from a camping tent, basically inside, and that's where we started. You know, I brought an idea and it was approved. You know, and it continued.
Yeah, 10 years. Oh, come on, for 15 years I worked in the corporates. Got burned out multiple times, built up a very big network, and honestly was thinking for 3 years, where can I exploit my network that I've built? And accidentally, jokes aside, I was always next to the technologies due to my dad and other endeavors in my life. So obviously I started with my Sandra as a partner, as a private accelerator. We actually acted as a startup, educational technology startup, and we were always analyzing the data and we're trying to understand so what is coming. Everyone knows that venture capital is investing into the future, not into something that is needed today, right? It's a good venture capital. So obviously we analyzed the data and we saw that deep tech will rise. And 5 years ago, we formed a thesis. We offered it to our investors. They believed in us. Today, we represent a venture capital company that is investing in dual use, deep tech, and life science.
Andrew, maybe we can actually start digging deeper with you. So maybe you can briefly mention what dual use companies BSV Ventures has already invested in.
Multiple. Obviously, we're looking at as a wide deep tech perspective, right? We're looking at some specific critical technologies that can be applied in multiple industries. That's why dual use is important for us. We have nothing against pure defense.
I meant what are your portfolio companies in dual use?
We are in situ grade, Repsense, who else? We have multiple of new companies that will be published quite soon, but the most excited I am is about Weren because they are currently being used on the battlefield. Another one is just we also recently, last quarter, we invested a bigger chunk of investment is VUK. That's a team that is coming from Ukraine, from the battlefield. They actually engineered very, very intelligent acoustic sensors. And to be very honest, they spot the Shaheds 15 minutes before the military-grade radars do. So they can send a message and they save lives. They also have a very strong application for the civil use. They already in talks are with the airports because what they are doing, they have a bit of more advanced things that are That will be presented pretty soon.
And the previous one that you mentioned, where?
Yeah, it's how to make it. Okay, in the simple terms, it's a mesh network communication, hardware plus software. It ensures that if you are in a very hostile area where everything is jammed, and even those things that are still working still jammed, they make sure that you can send a message in 99% of. Yeah.
Awesome. Ernestas, maybe you can share a bit more about BROSWARM. If you can share, like, if you have any customers already, if it's deployed anywhere, you're working with any institutions, anything that you can share publicly, obviously.
We are currently finalizing our first pilot with our military. Still a lot of things to do. Planning, hoping, finger crossed this summer at Ukraine. This is our goal initially, was this goal, but it's a very difficult goal.
Where would your software be applied the Lithuanian military?
Sorry?
How your software would be applied to the Lithuanian military?
I don't believe our startups will be applied to the Lithuanian military, unfortunately. You know, usually it's not like that, no.
Or in Ukraine?
Yeah, this is another question. Yeah, for sure. In Ukraine, we are in a mission to find landmines, and Ukraine now is the most contaminated place on Earth, and other future conflicts will be probably the same.
Can you just briefly describe how approximately it works?
So we created the smallest synthetic aperture radar in the world, basically that used satellites. So we applied that technology and scanning in synthetic aperture radar way. Obviously we had to reinvent that one, so it could be lightweight, it could be very energy efficient, because you cannot put on a drone a 10 kilo equipment, you know, for a very long scanning. Obviously the electricity part is also very important. And the rest is also, we had to reinvent ground penetrating capability, because conventional GPRs, metal detectors, magnetometers, they don't fucking work, you know, it's just impossible to put them on a drone. So we had to recreate as well, you know, that kind of thing, that it could be airborne, autonomous, and it's a difficult challenge that all primes wasn't able to solve it. Yeah, but we will do it.
Awesome, thank you. Elvinas, and I saw your announcement that you already built a solution for the balloon problem that we're having. Is that correct?
Yeah, so when the balloons came, our military finally realized that you can't really use drones with stock cameras on them at night. So we were very glad to be able to supply our military with our product, and then we went out with them to see how they're tackling this balloon problem. And what we saw is that the biggest issue was, you know, we have radars that are able to see air targets, but it's impossible for the pilot on the ground to lift off his little FPV drone and find the balloon, whether it's going to be a kilometer up in the air or 4 kilometers, or it's a three-dimensional space. So our solution was to integrate radar data that radar sees through clouds and fog, because back in December and November, they used to have fog or cloud coverage for 1.5 kilometers thick, and no camera will be able to see that, not a thermal imager, but radars are able to see that. So we integrated radar data against our camera, and now there's a little arrow on the pilot's glasses on the OSD, and the camera itself, what's the word, guides the pilot to the air target.
Awesome. And I know you have other applications of your products. Maybe you can share a little bit how it's being deployed and what kind of traction you have. Because we're only building a module, one part of the drone, so we're able to sell our product to any drone manufacturer in any other country. So we have partners in 7 Asian countries, United States as well, and Ukraine. We're working closely with several battalions in Ukraine, getting feedback, improving, and the demand keeps changing. And even working with our own military, we created the camera initially to live like the last life cycle of the product was to be around 20 minutes, and for Ukraine. But in Lithuania, for our forces, it has to be a bit different. It has to last at least 2 years. It has to fly 4 kilometers now, and like a year or 2 years ago, no one would try to fly an FPV drone so high.
Amazing. So the goal of this panel is to maybe help early stage founders or wanna-be founders that want to go into dual use in defense. And it's always hard to understand if the problem you want to work on is feasible, if it makes sense to work on it. Maybe we can start from you, Elvinas, and maybe you can share how did you evaluate your own ideas, or for example, how did you decide to work on the balloon problem? Obviously, it's very relevant for everyone who lives in Vilnius and Kaunas, but is it a feasible business case?
So why we started with a night vision camera? It was basically because my co-founder has been flying a FPV drone for 10 years now, maybe even more, and that was an issue that he himself had, because he was flying FPV drones as a hobby, but he could only fly during daytime. And sometimes you lose an FPV, you just lose signal, and that's it. But if you lose a drone with a single daytime camera, it's only like 500 euros. Well, when I say only 500 euros, if you want to fly at night, you have to buy a thermal imager that's at least 5,000 euros when you lose that. So that was his idea, to find a cheaper alternative to be able to fly at night. And then the war broke out in Ukraine, and in Ukraine, FPV drones went from an FPV to a hobby toy to one of the most lethal weapons, most widely used right now. So yeah, that's where we saw a real issue and a business piece as well.
I think Ernestas, the same question for you.
Why we started?
How did you evaluate that this is an idea, a problem worth building a startup? Starting a startup is like getting married, right? You might be doing it for the next 10, 20 years. So, yeah. What was your risk and opportunity analysis?
Zero. I guess most of defense founders in Lithuania, we are idiots, but more morally very strong, comparing to any Western country or whatever. We are doing this not because of money. It's not because of that. There's much easier ways to do so. This is my 35th startup, by the way. 35th startup. 3, 5. So, and I ended my couple good rodeos, and I ended it, basically finished it.
So if you would have to take a lesson, let's boil it down to one tip that you would give to someone who just wants to start now. How would you evaluate your idea and dual use in defense?
This is a difficult one. I used to have this in my software days, good old software days. Now I'm not in hardware days, those bad days. Software now is much easier looking back. But I used to understood or looked at in many things like, can I do it? Is it impossible to do it? For example, can you build a quantum computer in Lithuania? Yeah, Finns are doing it, yeah, but with very strong backing. But can we do an AI, a new engine, LLM, for example? No, you need to skip those bold and kind of crazy and in a sense good ideas, but you need to decide on ideas that you are unable to build with your resources, with your knowledge, with your capital. But also you cannot build something that is already, has no competition, You need to have this kind of unique perspective of if it's a innovation and not a 3-month innovation, You cannot build now, for example, another drone company. Ukrainians are doing much better than Helsing or Quantum Systems, $1 billion companies and they have 0 kills in Ukraine. 0 kills. So we cannot do the same as, you know.
How would you evaluate an opportunity? The size of opportunity, you know, that's what investors are looking for.
Man, that's a very strong one.
Well, maybe let's ask our investor.
I think investors have much more knowledge than us founders to that.
Andrew, so how do you evaluate dual-use startup opportunity? You know, the scale of the market. Where do you even start?
Well, obviously we do a very extensive market research. We do it internally. Honestly, when we are evaluating an opportunity, we usually evaluate it in 7 different risk factors. Each of the factors has their own research. It's being done by our team plus the experts that we're hiring for every job, every time.
What would be the key aspects that you look for?
There's so many angles how can I approach this, because obviously even continuing on what the guys were saying, like why would anyone go into dual use and defense? So obviously in our case, because it's personal. Since it's personal, that's why we're trying, we feel the pain, that's why we're trying to do something about it, right? But when you finish doing something just because you feel about it, then the second layer, it's like, no, when you get nervous, you need to count from 100 to 1, 99, 98, because with this, you turn on your rational mindset. And then you start to think, who the fuck will buy it?
Well, I have to.
Well, first idea is usually military. What do you know on how military actually buys stuff? And blah, blah, blah. You know the drill, right? They're so slow, it's a closed industry, and it's closed for a reason. We want it to be closed on one end, on the other end, we're angry, we want them to speak out, to give comments, to help us, to explain, should we do it, should we not? But there's a lot of problems. That's why dual use is interesting. Why? Because if we are evaluating some technology, we do understand that in one way or another, the current war that is so important for us will end. No one knows when and how, right? And the question is, what happens then? Of course, recent Munich security conference didn't give us a lot of positive, let's say, outcomes, because obviously European Union, they're kind of saying that they will not stop, and that trillions of euros will be invested in our overall capabilities, defense capabilities. On the other hand, we know what it means, political decisions. And let's assume in 6 to 8 months, something stops. What do we do with current investments? Do we continue an investment, and we know that the sales managers that are buying this, they are lining up? We are not sure, right? That's why when you're building something, I would be looking from the perspective before military and all the purchases would happen, and before I can actually make sure that my product gets into the specific platforms in NATO capabilities, anything, just like there's so many things that you need to take into account. What are the other industries that would benefit today? And this is the angle we approach. If we see that there are possibilities, and if we do customer discovery calls, we actually contact, for example, airport or Navigațijo Sistema, right? The agency that is monitoring the airspace, and we're checking, like, what would they be even curious to know for something that would be very advanced, maybe at this point doesn't fulfill all the needs that they have, but there's a need. And from there, we start to calculate not only how much can we invest, then we usually calculate who are the other investors that would be investing, and what would be the next stage, and who would be doing next, and at the end of the day, what is the exit scenario?
So you evaluate market opportunity outside
everything.
of
We even have a very open talk to our founders on what is the exit scenario. When would they be willing to get out? At this point, the easy answer is, guys, trillions of euros are coming to European Union. It's not a secret.
We're gonna get to exit.
Yeah, but it's very simple. And obviously, who will absorb the most of the money? The primes. Primes have zero imagination. This is where you come.
Awesome, thank you. So, well, moving forward, now you have, let's say, picked your problem that you're solving.
how do you even start getting first user feedback? I'm not even talking about customers. How do you even validate your idea, your product on a field or any kind of similar environment to the field that you know what if you're building is correct?
So in Lithuania, we have this wonderful organization called Riflemen's Union. They're so easy to get, you can get it, it's easy to get into, it's easy to find someone that you know that it's already in the union, and when they're having the weekend training, you can go there, bring your new gizmo, whatever you have, right, and you can test in real scenarios, close to real, of course. And of course now, because of Ukraine, we are still in this position that we're still able to test our product in Ukraine. Of course, when it started 4 years ago, you could get your product into the front line, into the zero very easily. But they made some mistakes with that, and now it's taking longer time. So first of all, you need to pass, field tests, next to a big city, let's say, and then only if it's actually properly working, then it might eventually make it to the zero.
Ernestas?
We were a bit lucky. We were like at the beginning of this. Maybe not the first wave, because first wave is probably somebody that started in 2014, at least in the heads. There are a couple of startups, defense startups, like Granta, like UDS probably, like Activus, I would say, a couple others. They were like the first wave. And I was in a room, in a cohort in Scale Wolf Accelerator, where basically even the old guys, a couple of year-old guys, startups, meshed with us, with newcomers, and we were a very strong new generation of defense startups here in Lithuania. Very fresh and naive, guys. So, but it helped a lot actually. It helped to be in a defense accelerator, focused defense accelerator. They opened the doors to military, in all of that space. But it also was brilliant to be part of the whole shebang, the team, like UDS, Granta, etc. Those guys. We could share, we could communicate. And even now to this day, we are a bunch of very small group here in Lithuania. Everybody knows each other. You can ask. We are helping each other, I think so, a lot. At least what I can feel, yeah?
Well, we meet every single time.
We're speaking all the time somewhere. Today is here, unfortunately. For you guys, maybe you're hearing us, too much of us, But basically that helped a lot. And what Elvinas is telling, now testing, understanding, Ukraine is the most important gateway. And unfortunately, I think it is getting a bit more difficult. And they are a bit fed up with us, Westerners, coming to them and showing that, we have this and that, this shit works, but it doesn't, etc. They are a bit now, they fed up with that. It's good that we are Lithuanians, and they still love us for sure. It's another about us and maybe a Portuguese guy would come, it would be a total different game, We would be the only ones that they test, and Portuguese are bye-bye, So something to the sake of that. I hope there's no Portuguese here. Sorry. But it is the truth. And now it's getting to a thing that there's even intermediaries that helps you go to the Ukraine grounds and test. It's basically so difficult to go straight forward. There are a couple Lithuanians/Ukrainians that are helping for money, etc. And this becomes kind of strange thing actually to do testing and so on. So kind of interesting how it will go.
Andrew, do you have any tips from your dual-use startups that you have observed? How to get this first user feedback? How to start getting pilots?
The guys said very important points. Completely agree with Rifleman. It's very intelligent access towards the network that you wouldn't get otherwise, right? You're very correct with the accelerators. NATO Diana also, it's a very competitive accelerator, but they have insane access to the military. You can get insane, just like compliments from the decent people that you actually need. You can also open up some doors. But to add something on top, if I would be thinking today, right, how can I get some pilots? I would approach from a lazy person's perspective. Why to go out, get to know everyone, and spend 3 years of trying to understand who does what, who are the actors that are important? I would actually think on who already has the access. That's where riflemen come in, that's where the accelerators come in, right? Or we have very strong and active associations. Like, that's the organization that actually gathers multiple companies with different interests, but again, as if you want to get to someone important, that someone important usually have a very busy schedule, right? But they will always give access to someone that represents multiple companies. So that's another way of actually getting the intelligence that you need. And with this, if you bundle yourself up with someone else, your chances of getting the pilot are way higher when you're coming. Maybe you're doing an amazing thing, but it's such a small detail in all image. No one will waste time, I'm sorry, but that's not reality.
So Andrew, let's say we get into this pilot, having built some enterprise solutions myself in the past, enterprise pilots are always tricky. Decision makers might be far away, people that are using the software might not be talking to decision makers, etc. So from your lessons observing your portfolio of startups, what are the most frequent mistakes that startups do in dual-use industry once they start actually providing the software or the hardware?
I don't want to sound as a dilettante, but just running for the big brands, it will cost you a lot of time, but it's just one proof, right? You need way more. Another thing, don't get too much excited if they say that it sounds good. It's like in the Baltics, it's a polite way. Yeah, just send over something to me here. Yeah. So in this case, just be very kind of rational and understand the game that they're playing, right? It is a boring game. Defense is a very defensive field. They will not allow. They don't want someone else to come and tell them that they're more intelligent than them. There's so many social engineering elements in this, right? You need to become a relevant partner. You need to kind of figure out what is the platform, what is the real pain point, and if you can be there and not coming in like, look, no one understands anything, but I can do something. No, so like, I have another idea on how could it be done, right? Should I or can I in some way present it to you, or is there a chance for me to be in the room where things happen, right? There's just one way, but just be creative.
Awesome. And next thing, same question to you. Tips and tricks, what mistakes to avoid in a pilot, and any tips how to make these pilots a success.
I think we all need to understand that we are all struggling. Defense industry is struggling. Selling, it's a very huge struggle. And if you're sad about selling to enterprises, come to defense. Come. You'll be surprised. You'll be happy with enterprises.
I have a feeling you guys are talking me and a lot of people out of it tonight.
No, but you need to understand reality. And reality is get sober. Reality is that we are in Lithuania, a country that has no heritage, defense industry heritage. We have a military which is even scared to buy innovation because we kind of attack them on many orders. They do that. We are basically our own fault. Attacking them always with bad decisions. They don't want to risk. They risk zero. They're not rewarded for taking risks.
All right, we understand. Lots of minuses.
No,
Lots of hurdles.
It's not a minus.
There are good things.
There are good things. They are open up. There's a lot of things. They are in the dialogues. You can speak with them. You can contact them. They are supportive. By the way, deep inside, they are very supportive.
So that's great. Let's double down on that. So how would you recommend to reach out to the, let's say, Lithuanian military? Well,
Easy.
There are no ways.
There are events. It's kind of easy to connect with. But are you gonna sell to Lithuanian military? No. Because they will buy red metal. They will buy, you know, anything that is so big. They will not get any trash talk about of that purchase, you know. Yeah, sure.
Not only this, we need to understand, like, when military is buying something, they're actually planning for years ahead. If today you have a solution which sounds and maybe is solving something, they are looking in a longer period. So if, for example, someone would force them, I have nothing against the drone companies, but would force them to spend 50 million on drones, they would put it into a warehouse. How would that equipment look in 7 weeks compared to what is happening? So this is the problem that they're solving, and they do understand that innovation needs some proof, some traction, something, but that's why they're saying search for other ways on actually selling, getting the income in, while you actually develop something that is here to stay. But it's not comfortable to talk about it, right? Because as I said before, we're trying to fix the issue that is today, but let's just widen up.
Great point. It's totally my mic.
Sorry.
No. I want to point it out. It's not a Lithuanian fault.
No.
It's the whole Europe.
Yeah.
We, as a Europe, we are failing very much so. In innovation, in many other areas. In defense is the same, you know. So, US is having its game, you know, like investing big money into risky stuff, and then they have this, you know, processes.
These observations are great, especially somewhere else. But let's make it practical. Let's see, because maybe some people have some great ideas, and they're looking now for basically your input, guys. From you, Elvinas, obviously you managed to really grow your company, build out, create different solutions, even get in Ukraine on the field. So, what would be your advice on making pilot a success?
Well, yes, it was already said before. I think solve a real problem. Don't oversell your product. Don't say that it's gonna do X, Y, Z, and it doesn't do anything at all. Because defense market is a very close society. As Ernestas said, we always meeting, you know, the same faces. You go to any event, Poland, I don't know, Portugal, Germany, you'll meet the same company, same faces.
I'm fed up of seeing you every time.
So if after you get a chance and you mess up your pilots, everyone will know that the thing that you're selling is shit, and you're not gonna sell again. And you know you can, and it's not gonna be enough to skip town. You know, go to different.
So, Elvinas, since we're still with you, obviously there's probably all kinds of compliance and legal questions and barriers for entry into defense and dual use. How do you go? Do you have to comply with any special regulations? How do you go about it?
I think the drone market is still not very, what was the word I used?
Regulated?
Regulated, yeah, it's not that regulated. The dual use, you know, of course, yeah. We were looking into, you know, getting a dual use certificate for export, right? You call AMIN and they're like, so we were asking them whether we're dual use or not. Eventually, after like spending 2 months and, you know, spending time with lawyers, the answer was, it's up to the producer to decide. It's for you, for the manufacturer. You decide whether it's dual use or not. And the best question the lawyers came up with, can the military use it? Well, I said, if the military uses a pencil, is the pencil a dual use? So yeah. Green, camel green, yeah.
Guys, do you want to add anything on this?
You know, try to avoid this as further as possible, you know. And there are many ways to avoid it. It's even with those that is with like killing stuff, you know, like pure defense stuff. You can partner with companies that already have A-grade licenses, etc. You know, there are a lot of things. You can separate your product into pieces, you know, and go through the border, you know. Basically, there are so many innovative ways, you know, and we, as Lithuanians, we are very good at avoiding taxes or something, you know.
Yeah, but maybe just to kind of recap, military is so gateway for a reason, right? Same like with life science. You don't want to get to your doctors and to be tested with some new equipment that maybe can force him to cut your leg. I'm sorry, just like you want it to be licensed, you want to prove that it works. Same is with the military, but military things, it's like it's there for different reasons, right? So those gateways, they have the system that actually works if you want to get to them, right? And in Europe, it's primes. Primes are the big corporations that have long established connections. They know how the mentality works, they know how the sales cycles works, etc., etc. So I would be trying to understand how those guys are getting there and not trying to replicate that. Come on, it doesn't work like this, right? But just getting into those consortiums, getting into those bundled solutions and trying to partner with the relevant bigger producers and coming in with the small detail. With this, you're not losing anything. You're just becoming, and you're using them as leverage. This is the way to go there. Otherwise, I don't know, like, we can still continue on pretending that 15 people, startup with relevant funding can sell something to that was good one. Well, they don't.
Well, let's hope it's gonna go better for our new startups that are gonna be started today.
It's not bad.
So-
Just understand.
Yeah. We, I think we're in the split end. So guys, so let's say we have this great idea and we're starting to fundraise for our defense/dual-use startup. What do you think should be ready? You know, what has to be there? The team, prototype. What was your experience fundraising, and what would you advise for people that want to raise pre-seed round for a new dual-use startup?
I think you can answer this question the best, but what I learned is that at the very, very beginning, what the investors are looking at is the team. Whether this team can actually develop this product. If you have a relevant issue, a problem that you're trying to solve, you can mention your competitors. If you're saying you don't have any competitors, you haven't done your research well enough, you can ask for $1 million or $2 million, whatever. Eventually, you'll figure out, the amount of money you need. You might have a working prototype. It might be a proof of concept. But what I learned, and two things. So the team, whether you two will be the ones who will be able to produce this product, and the market.
And by the team, do you mean the founding team, co-founders?
Yeah, of course. I heard that like single founder is not so well liked, and alone.
It's risky. We get it. So
Depression, out of depression.
Elvina, maybe you can just briefly tell, for example, how did you find a co-founder? How did you hire your first people?
So the co-founder, again, Riflemen's Union. I just joined the Riflemen's Union. I was thinking about doing a UGB, and we were at the bar, and one of the riflemen's, they're like, oh, I know this guy, he's very good at software, I'll introduce you to him. And he was standing outside smoking a cigarette, and I said, hey, could you do this for me? And he's like, yeah, sure, how much would it cost me? He's like, we'll split the millions. And that's how we started. And completely dropped the UGB idea.
Yeah, and that's it. So, what would be your advice for founders or a single founder that's preparing to build this dual-use startup
To raise money.
and wants to raise a round?
I think it's kind of, I'll dare to say that it's kind of easy to get money in dual use in defense these days. Especially the first...
Pre-seed.
In pre-seed, yeah. I would say even angel investment is kind of strong. In Lithuania we have an amazing angel community that are putting their own money into this very, very conservative, slow, difficult industry, and I adore them for that. It's a kind of more, again, like you said, morally, it's a moral thing. It's kind of easy. The tricky, you need to put your effort. Obviously, you need to do something we got our funding from nothing, from scratch. We had an idea. I had my first call, as said, in a camping tent, you know. So it does, you know, you can for sure raise something without having something very significant, because it's difficult to do. Bootstrap a hardware startup, obviously.
If we would make it practical, you know, let's say we are 2 or 3 co-founders, how do we get started? Do you advise, for example, to start some CRM? You know, what was your process, like your practical process?
You drill obviously your idea, your pitch. You drill it, like you drill it from bottom to top. I mean, the whole concept, the thesis. You look at how VCs will look into it and how you are looking into it. You know, every angle. So a strong thesis, your own idea, but very granularly picked it up, you know, thought it out thoroughly. You're able to sell it to VCs for sure. I see that for sure, even till this day. The difficult part is later on stages. So this first is kind of easy if you do your homework. But I think he knows better.
Andrew, what would be your advice for startups that will be pitching you tonight? The very ideas. How to get this pre-seed round going?
Well, my colleagues are absolutely correct. In this region, if you're dual use, not so sure about defense, it depends on the mandate that the investor has. But if we speak about dual use, pre-seed and seed are relatively easy. If you're coming in, like you did your homework, you understand what you're doing, you understand the competition, you understand what needs to happen, and completely agree, it's always about the team, especially in the beginning, because ideas, most of the cases, always change. Technology is being adapted, it's being shaped, it's being pivoted. That's how the reality happens. But every investor tries to understand what is gluing the team. If you met, I don't know, in the bar and it sounded good and let's try this, not sure, maybe. But if you're coming in and say, I studied with the guy and we did this, that, it means like maybe you already had some like good and bad in your life, and this gives more confidence for the investor, because it will be tough. And when it will be tough, will they stay together, or one guy will say, fuck this shit, I have a kid at home and I need to eat, right? So this is the commitment level, right? And then obviously you're trying to understand, can they actually do what they say they will do? Yeah. This is like, are you just talking? And it's usually personal for them. Like, they want to live in this country, for example, blah, blah, right? In our case, we are a venture capital company. We have a bunch of investors behind us, and despite how patriotic we are, you know, giving away the money at every fool can, right? You just split it and look what happens, right? But in our case, we need to return it. So we need to know, or we need to understand that at least we have an idea how the money will come back.
Just, okay, let's quickly double click on that. So what would be, let's say, the best way to reach you, to contact you? Do you prefer introductions? Do you prefer PDF? Do you prefer a video?
In our case, it's very transparent. Us, BSV Ventures, First Pick, Scale Wolf, everyone has an application. In any case, whether
just go to the website. Basically.
Yes, and if I get an intro on my LinkedIn or SMS message in multiple ways, right? It always ends up filled in the form. Why? Because that form falls into our system. And our analysts, they have the questions, they check the information. There's a process that we need to pass. Let's not forget, every fund is being audited. Yeah. Right? So we need to have the answers. We never do decisions as we like it or we don't like. No, it's data. We need the data.
Thank you, Andrew. Ernestas, so for like, let's make it like a closing remark. I'm trying to make this very practical for people that would like to get into dual use and defense. Yeah.
Do startup.
And positive if possible. So what would you like to tell yourself maybe then 2, 3 or how many years ago when you were starting, but you would do that or know that, be ready for that, and make it positive.
You need a moment.
Well, let's open ChatGPT.
You want to bring me back to my past and think about what I would say to myself past 2 years ago.
All right, let's make it why you should do it. Why you should do it.
You know, I think we already spoke about it. We are morally so strong about it. We're doing this not because of that or that or that. We're doing this because we want to participate in this, we want to help. We hate them, you know who, and you know, we want to fight them, and we want to fight as the way we can fight. You know, I'm tech entrepreneur. I cannot, obviously I'm now going more into gym, etc., you know, learning martial arts and so many things, you know, because I want to fight them. I started this actually, my startup, I started because I had a dream. That dream was not a wet dream, but close to that. Basically, I dreamt that I'm in a war. There's a war, Russians are coming to Lithuania, and Putin is somewhere in the field, and I'm having superpowers. I'm so strong, I'm pushing for everyone, and I'm going to Putin, I'm just, you know, like a Superman killing him, basically, you know. And I woke up, whoa, you know. So, but I don't have that power, you know. So we do what we can do, and startup, defense startup it is, you know.
Thank you. Elvina, same thing, closing remark, why you should do it, or what would you like to know, you know, before you actually started a company?
Did you have a dream?
Yeah, I also had a dream about Russians coming into my home. Yeah, I did, but it motivated me a bit. But of course, why do we do it? National pride, I suppose, the love of your country, right? And you do it because you want to do it, because it's a boy's dream to work in defense. What I like to know is that, you know, what are the steps? So yeah, find a partner, don't do it alone. Get into an accelerator program, incubator program. We have 2 strong angel networks. They allow you to pitch once a month. Send them your pitch deck. You can get a pitch deck anywhere online, right? Go on Telegram, find a real problem that Ukraine is facing. Go talk to soldiers. Go talk to riflemen. They'll tell you the biggest issues of you know, the soldiers. Make a radio that actually works in the middle of a forest. $1 billion idea.
Awesome. Well, I think what all speakers can agree is that we should all join Lithuanian Rifleman Union, the Košaulių Sąjunga, and get started with that. I think we're going to have a note about that in our next panel. Andrew, do you really want to say something else?
I want to say
one
something.
last closing remark.
Yes, closing remark. So if you actually want to play a defense game or participate in the game, you need to understand that the military cares only about 2 things. First thing is how to kill more and how to die less. So that's the first decision. What are you doing with them, right? Second thing, you need to actually do the homework and understand how they work today. And is there something that you could build that would actually they need? And just to slightly repeat myself, figure out who knows how to get there and who already sells. And if you're making something a bit better, you know, too good to be true, right? Not gonna happen. Yeah, but at this point, you need to understand like where you're going and what is that thing you actually want to do with them, right? In most of the cases, that's why I'm always pushing, try to exercise your thought process from the dual-use perspective. There's so many industries that are so outdated, they're so medieval, and they're so ineffective. And maybe the same thing is needed in the military. You do first product, you do second product. With the third product, you will do something for defense.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Everyone, Andrius from BSV Ventures, Ernestas from BROSWARM, Elvinas from Robotics. Thank you, guys. We're going to have a short 5-minute break, and we're going to be back with our second panel. Thank you all.
Yra daug.